Greetings, Dapplings, and welcome back to The Last Spell, a game which I covered in early access what seems like a lifetime ago now, back when it very first dropped in early access. Last Spell is, for all intents and purposes, a RPG-heavy tower defense roguelike. If you want a game to compare it to, the best comparison I could make is take They Are Billions and apply turn-based tactical combat to it rather than more RTS style moving units around, but the basic premise is still the same. You've got a group of heroes and they have to do battle with wave upon wave of hordish creatures that are trying to overwhelm your settlement. Now, the particularly eagle-eyed amongst you will have already noted that I recently streamed this over on Twitch, and the very eagle-eyed amongst you will have already spotted the VODs from those streams going up on Aavak After Hours. Of course, there are links to both my Twitch channel and my second YouTube channel down in the video description below, but this is going to be a separate campaign. So, if you've already watched the content there, don't worry. This is going to be fresh content over here, and if you haven't seen the content over there, but by the end of this video you decide you like what you saw and you want to see more, in addition to leaving me a like, in addition to leaving me a comment, both of which St. Algorithmus is very pleased to receive, you can head on over to Aavak After Hours and check out the videos there. But with that all said and done, let's jump in to a new game. War. For centuries, the world was engulfed in never-ending strife and chaos. Elves fighting dwarves, dwarves fighting humans, orcs fighting everyone. The common folk were bled dry, misery, famine, plague. Secluded in his tower, researching forbidden magic secrets, the Archmage Hieronymus Teller made an extraordinary discovery. Wild, unknown words of power to harness tremendous forces. A ritual of mass destruction, able to obliterate any city in a single strike. What terrible sins did he commit to command such power? Hoping to end all wars, he cast a spell on Glinthfeen, a small enemy village. A gigantic dark ball of purple flames fell from the sky and smashed into the town centre, leaving only ruins, lifeless bodies, and purple fumes. The whole royal family of a neighbouring kingdom was present at that time. They all died. The king, mad with grief, ordered the military to research this new magic. He made his mages unleash hell on the closest major city. Several 100,000 died. Every kingdom sought the purple magic. Alliances were set in motion. The sky was constantly flashing purple bursts. Thundering blasts were heard every hour. War was no more, only annihilation. There was no turning back. At some point, the explosion stopped. A resounding silence. An ominous mist started to aggregate around the remaining cities. Small groups of survivors gathered. The surrounding mist was thickening. At night, they had to defend against ghastly monsters. They called them Claws, a name that still bothers me. It is not easy to say that. It does not roll off the tongue. It morphs into too many other words for my liking. My dyslexic brain cannot fathom. Truly, a grim word of power indeed. A fighter simply known as the Commander took charge. Defenses were rebuilt. Some havens emerged from the chaos. Most mages were hanged, or worse, in retribution. Some of them, fearing for their lives, tried to find an answer. They found a way. A spell. The last spell. They devised complex rituals to cleanse the corrupted runic nexus. The goal was simple, yet nearly impossible. Channel enough energy to break the remaining seals of magic, and banish all magic from this world, forever. No magic, no mages, no need to hang them. I see. Clever. Thinking outside the box. Typical mage. But when comes the night, terrifying mutated creatures appear. They come out of the mist to kill. The survivor's only hope is to fight night after night and protect these mages at any cost until the last spell is cast. And there you have it. A bit more of an expansive opening sequence than the last time I played. Definitely got a bit more story going on. Defend the last bastion of humanity with your squad of heroes, while the mages try to banish all magic, exterminate fiendish monsters by night, and rebuild your battered city defenses by day. Protect the magic circle night after night until the mages break the seal. The haven is lost if the magic circle is destroyed, or if all heroes are dead. During the deployment phase, position your heroes by placing them just outside the city. The camera can be moved using arrows, edge panning, gamer grip, blah blah blah. The direction of incoming hordes is shown in the commander's journal. That's actually pretty cool. I like that a lot. So that's northwest over there, so I guess that's northeast. So cardinal directions, even though this is more of an isometric map. Alright, so we've got a couple of things that we've got to do. We've got to position our heroes. Now, we can name our heroes. And in fact, we're going to name our heroes. Assuming that I can do that prior to actually getting into the game. We will have a quick look. I'll put my mage there, our melee fighter there, our ranger there. Now, one thing to be aware, these are just... most skills in this game are based on equipment rather than the characters, but there is an incredibly deep character customization that involves picking perk trees, which are randomized, by the way. Not all characters have access to the same perks, and building up skills and so on and so forth. As a consequence, early on, you might not have the best equipment on the best person for that equipment. Maybe my archer or my melee fighter might make a better mage than my shield-wielding, wand-wielding mage over here. That's an interesting combo, I must say. But I would recommend checking that out normally. As this is a tutorial, we're not going to dive into it too much, but that is one thing that I absolutely must do, and that is to rename here. Can I not? There we go. Rename Bertie. Everyone, please say hello to Lost Dryer Socks, Vanya Loswin, and Evil Friend. And thank you all for your continued patron support. When we run out of names, because it is a when and not an if with this kind of game, we will be starting to take names from the comments. So if you are interested in dropping your name into the hat, then do leave a comment down below. There is a degree of character customization. I probably will do little bits here and there, but for the most part, I'm not going to be changing the characters too much. I kind of like just seeing what the game throws out, but there is actually a lot of customization available if you are thus inclined. But let's get back to the games then. So we've positioned everyone, and it is now time for us to end phase, for the horde is about to be upon us. I don't want to die! They're always right on time, aren't they? Well, I mean, you know, it doesn't pay to be tardy. During the night, repel monsters until they're all dead. This is the night meter. Move heroes and use their skills in any order you like. A hero's available skills depend on the gear they have equipped. Most abilities are gear focused rather than character focused, and there is a difference between offhand and main hand. You can end up with quite an interesting spread of skills, but there are also other things like consumable scrolls, so on and so forth. Now this night meter here, every time you end turn, the enemy move, and more pile onto the field until you get towards the end night. But by this point, you'll have a timer, or rather, you'll have a counter of how many zombies or claws remain on the field of battle, and that's how many you're going to need to take out. But each of the characters will have different abilities. If you hold Alt, you can see where the enemy you're going to move to. We kind of want to slow them down. Guerrilla tactics early on, because as much as the enemies can move through each other, they can't occupy the same space. So if you start to hobble a bunch of enemies, they're going to start taking up space and making it harder for more enemies to pile on through. Now, we've got a couple of abilities here. Let's have a quick look. We've got Stomp, Crush, Bash. You can see different kind of area of effects, secondary effects. This one would provide a stun, for example. Your secondary is evasion. But we are going to open up, I think, with a tight volley. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. The little action point here, that replenishes every turn. Mana replenishes every day. So we're going to have to get through the entire night with our mana pool, and we'll only recover the stated amount at the end of the day. Same for health. You'll get 12 health points back at the end of the day, 5 mana points back at the end of the day. So you do need to be a little bit more careful about things, but I would love it if I could get a nice big group of enemies, maybe about there. So I'm going to need to move this tile into range, so something like this would do. And any movement is cancelable until you cast a skill, which I'm about to do. So we're just about to drop that right there. Tonk. Now, there's a couple of things going on. These enemies here are armored. And armored claws, you've got to get through their armor before you can start doing damage to their health. But these two have lost a good portion of their health. As a consequence, there are two... If I click on it there, it doesn't actually hold it up. But we can look at it down here. All creatures have, like, wounded status. And there are two thresholds. The first one has reduced their movement points by 1. The second one has reduced it to 2. So this enemy has lost 2 movement points. The skill also dropped 2 movement points. And they've also dropped a lot of damage. So as you damage people, they become weaker, which is always nice in a game like this. Now, we are close enough to use a point-blank shot. So let's go ahead and pop you. And then we'll go for the regular shots. And you can see these bands here tell us how much better the enemy will be at dodging if I attack them within that band. And that's fine. Let's just drop one there, get another one over there. And then I'm out of my movement. However, or rather my action points. We do have a transfer skill. Now, from what I've seen, every time you start the game, whilst some gear is a little bit randomized, the main weapons seem to be largely the same. You'll have someone with a wand, someone with a bow, and someone with a hammer. And the wand, or at least the starting wand, comes with transfer. I can give anyone 1 action point, 2 extra movement points, and increase the raw damage of the caster. Pay very close attention to the fact that their background is different on the last effect of this ability, and to the side it actually lists them. So the 3 crosses is restoration, but the bluish background is a caster effect, and it applies to the caster of the skill. That is a very, very important one. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to buff you up, so you've got another turn to attack with. This cannot overcharge. I believe it does mention down there. Increases the attribute of a given duration. Gives back a portion of the given attribute, cannot overflow. So, you would not want to give that to someone who didn't have any used up movement points or didn't have any room for extra action points, because you'd just be wasting it. Now, if I could scooch over a bit, I might be able to use point blank shot. Just unalive you. There we go. And I'm going to use it once more. Right there. I've only got 2 uses of this ability per turn. Not per night, but per turn. And that's quite an important one. Most abilities have some sort of limit to them. Now, let's have a look. You're not going to be slowed down at all, so I'm just going to plonk you. And at this point, I could happily move my archer back a pace. They won't be within range to attack, or at least I very much doubt it. If I click on them, does it give me an idea? Yeah, these are only melee areas. It is always worth checking out enemies just to see what kind of damage and where they can attack, because they might be able to attack all around them. And I'm certain later on we will be facing enemies like that. Now, you've got a bit of a long way to go. That would take all 9 moves, which means you would be out there by yourself. Not something I'm looking to do. This would only take 6. You would be able to draw back. So, at risk of kind of wasting this a little bit, we're going to go ahead and do that. Hit both of them, and then draw back. When you have no action points left on your heroes, or you are done with your turn, hit the end turn button. This will trigger the Horde's turn. Action and move will be restored at the start of the next turn. Now let's have a look at where they're going to move. I don't know what the Horde over here are going to do, so let's just draw back to somewhere safe. I think I'm going to just scooch up a bit, and we're going to spend the remaining 2 action points just smacking you. 1, 2. There we go. Very nice. All right. That's a good start turn, and our mage hasn't used up any of their precious, precious mana. Yes, I know they've got 4 action points remaining. I'm not going to charge over there because I couldn't see where the horde in the purple mist, how far they were going to be able to walk. So they almost certainly would have overwhelmed anyone. Even if you wiped out all the enemies visible on the screen, the next wave will be able to move and attack, from what I can understand. Health and mana are not fully restored every day. Each hero's health regen and mana regen are attributes, and are shown next to the health and mana indicators. When a unit's health goes under a certain threshold, they become wounded. The afflicted negative effects are specific to the unit type, so hero, claw, splitter. Hover over the blood droplet icons under their health bar to discover their effects. So, for example, wounded, movement points decreased by 1/4, move points decreased by 1/3, and action points decreased by 1/3, and I imagine that's going to be the same for every hero. I believe our units are basically the class hero, so that's how that one will play out. Now then, we will restore 5 mana come morning, so it does mean that I can afford to use this right now, but I'm going to hit a bunch of armored folk again. Still, I think it's worth it. There we go. We've got 2 wounded over there. That's fine. We can use point-blank shot to just remove a couple of scallywags just in front of us. Now, I haven't moved, but I think I will move forward, if only so that I don't waste the movement buff. There doesn't seem to be a zone of control, but I don't know if that's always going to be the case. So, you know, probably best to bear that in mind. There may be a zone of control on some enemies in the future. And I'd also like to pop you. There we go. And now let's just pull back to somewhere relatively safe. There we go. We don't need to fight them all the way over here, though you don't want them getting back here. And I'll explain why in a little bit. Now then, it's time for you to actually get involved this time. So let's open up with a nice hammer shot. There we go. I'm going to scooch forward. I'm going to use this. We're again going to have 5 regen at the end. Now, health regen and mana regen. If you are familiar to playing games like RTSs, consider them a resource. I would recommend, at the very least, to consider them a resource. Maybe considering health regen a resource is playing a little bit fast and loose, but certainly mana regen. Any mana regen you don't use at the end of the day was a wasted resource. Use it up. And, you know, maybe not overspend. Maybe just stop shy of that. And don't worry if you lose a little bit of health, as long as it's within your regen limit. It's just a resource to be used. Otherwise, you're just wasting it. You don't get it back at the end. But we're going to use this. This has the stun effect, 75% chance, and it does a goodly bit of damage as well. Most of these claws do not have enough health to survive this. If they get hit by it... oh, actually, no, they did survive. Is it perhaps shared out damage 55 to 61? And yet, you did not have that much health. Oh, no. I do apologize. Yeah, I was looking at the wrong thing. I was looking at their damage, which was 18 to 22. I was like, yeah, no, they none of them survived. They had 100 health points each. I've actually learned to read. Right. Well, that did a decent bit of damage there. I could finish them off relatively easily. Or I could scooch over here and take care of you. There we go. I've still got a couple more points I can spend, especially if I do this. Then we're going to get a buff for you. We're going to scooch back, get another hit in. There we are. I perhaps should have done it over there. Oh, it seems that Vanya Losman very, very happy with their performance there. Let's get all the way back. We don't need to be too far forward. And at this point, we can just clean up a little bit. Now, I could hit 4 targets, or I could hit 2 targets. 4 targets, 2... you know what? Let's use up the mana. I was just talking about that. So, let's drop... Oh, you're out of range. That's fine, then. Let's try for all of you. There we go. Nice and clean. And just scooch to the side. Alright, end of the turn there. Now, I believe next turn, we've got 41. That includes the ones that are still in the miss. Select enemies to see their skills attributes and where they might move on the next turn. Press left alt to see where all enemies might move. Use this information to place heroes out of their reach. Indeed. Now, I could overspend your mana, but I'd kind of prefer not to if I can avoid it. Instead, I would much prefer to just get in there, take out enemies where we can go for the armored enemy, since you do a lot of damage with point blank. Yes, indeed. Let's have a quick look. Let's pop you two. We'll just thin them out as close to us as we can. I'm not going to worry too much if they've still got a bit of health left. That isn't a problem for me. There you go. And you can go over there. And then we can draw back a bit. There we are. And staying relatively close gives me the option to deal with them as they approach. I'm not going to have to move forward. I can get a good bit of damage in before I need to worry about that. Scooch up. We can go ahead and use this over here. We'll probably take out a few. There we go. Very nice. Very nice. Got a little bit left. Let's go for there. Go there as well. And now I'm going to need that buff so I can get out of the way. I will be able to get out of the way as long as I move all the way down here, so I'm just going to take you out on my way. There we are, and I'll still be out of range. Perfect. And that leaves you. Now, I can't spend any more mana if I want to recover it all at the end of the night. So instead, I will just... I can't quite hit you, so I'm going to scooch over so I can wound you. Or kill you, as the case may be. Okay, well, that's perfect. Alright, well, now we just wait for them to come through. We've actually got armor, or, I guess... Yeah, armor based on the shield that we've got right now. Which is actually quite nice. Alright, end turn. Only 28 undead left. Alright. Any enemy within your haven or damaging its buildings and walls will cause panic at the end of the night. The panic level determines your rewards. You want to keep panic nice and low. You can see where the haven is. If you click on the tile, it'll tell you over here. So, this is all playing... This is wooden wall, but if I click there, it's haven. This is part of my haven. Generally speaking, where you can see streets or the tiles kind of change into a more urban setting, that's your haven. Everything outside here, these are just areas where I can fortify. They're nothing much that we need to worry about. Alright, let's scooch right in, go for some point-blank shots. Take you out if I can. And honestly, sure, we'll just thin the herd a bit. There we go. They're not getting any healthier, but they're also not getting any worse right now either. So that is definitely something to bear in mind. Let's drop the hammer there. Sadly, didn't manage to get as much of an impact as I'd hoped. Nevertheless, we're going to go over here. Can I afford to? No, I really can't. So instead, we're just going to try and dig through, do a bit of damage wherever we're able. You're up next then, right there. Now I'm going to need you to give him a bit of movement to get away from this. We only need to draw back a little bit to be safe. Well, I can't really do too much damage to them, so... how much of that? Yeah, I can still use that. So we're going to go ahead, get rid of you. Then I want another 2 points of movement for him. There we go, and we should be safe and sound. Draw back there. And at this point, we can just start laying into the enemies. Now, where are they all going to get to? Ooh, we have actually got a fair number that are going to get over here. They are actually going to get down here. Ooh. Well, in that case, then, I should have stayed and fought. Sometimes they will block. Our characters will block movement, so it's not always obvious where they can move to. You can get down there. So let's have a quick look now at who we need to take out. These two I need to take out. And at that point, this one. Alright, I've got my targets. Got 2 points to do it with. I'm not going to be able to do that. However, if I scooch back, you will be able to reach my archer. That is quite the shame. Quite the shame. Let's get some evasion, but at the end of the day, like I said, HP is a resource that we can regenerate. You are not as badly wounded. You've got a minus 50% total damage. You've got a minus 20. You can do less overall damage, so I'm going to drop this over here. There we go. I'm limiting the person who can attack to the weakest one. I don't know which one they're going to go for. I could force that, though. You've got only your health to regenerate. You've got less health to regenerate, but you've got more armor. So, if I were to move my mage forward, should provoke the attack there. And we'll see how that goes down. Who has the action points? It is you. And sadly, I just can't do anything about it. It's fine. See how this goes? Go ahead. There we are. Just took points out the armor. You notice how the armor completely restores at the end of the turn. That is a very, very important thing to remember, and something I often forget. Right, pop and pop. There we go. And then just clean the area around a bit. Perfect. And then we are going to want to draw back. At least that far. Right then. Now, first and foremost, I would like to remove you. That will allow me to move up. Take out you two. And I would kind of like to reserve this attack for the armored enemy there. There we go. Still got 2 points. I can take an attack here. And I could probably do an attack there as well. Or I just retreat. I'm safe there. And that gives me the ability to use evasion. Again, this is more like chess than other similar games. In that you know exactly what a piece is going to do. There is no version of this where there's random amounts of damage, but there's not random amounts of movement. Unless they have some sort of special skill, they can't move further than their movement allows them to. So if I can see that no one can get to that character, there is no version of this where that's going to happen. Did I not use that on you? Curious. Did I perhaps cast it on the wrong person? I may have. Either way. Let's take care of you. If I draw back, where's your movement going to allow you to get to? It's going to allow you to get to me, so let's just take you out. There we go. We are losing ground, but it's ground that we can afford to lose. There we go. The nice thing about this is they stack up for my special attack this way. Now let's move in, take out the armored peeps. Can't quite reach that one. Take you out though. Drop a couple of bow hits. Really thin their number. There we are. And we'll have our melee specialist move in, take care of the rest. Wow, you actually managed to stay standing. I am kind of impressed, not gonna lie. Now, one thing to notice is that the range on this is not... The gold is not showing where the attack will fall. It just happens to be that this attack can be started in 2 tiles in any of the cardinal directions and is 2 tiles long, but I can use it here, which is quite an effective way to make use of that ability, in my opinion. There we go. And I've got one more attack. I'm going to use this one here. Then I would like to buff you. And we should be able to have Vanya just... Oh, okay, never mind. Damn it. I didn't switch over to that. But there we are. That's all cleared up. We should be able to get down. And with the remaining points, I'm not going to be able to completely clear the board, but we'll be able to do a good bit of work with it. There we go. Right, end turn. And here we go. Day is here. We'll finish this off with our mage. There we are. Not too bad. That was not close at all. It was fine. Another night survived. Experience gains. The amount of enemies you killed. The amount of experience you got. Shared experience. Now, I believe that they gain experience based on the amount of kills they got. So, Vanya got 33. Lost Dry Socks got 15. An Evil Friend got 17. Alive 3, no HP was lost, no one died. We got an S rank. And here is the panic. There's the exclamation marks at the top. The more panicked they become, the less stuff you get. For each node on the panic tree, that the forces of evil have managed to encroach on, that's where your rewards stop. So since there was no panic, we got everything, 105 gold, 100 materials, and 1 special item. That was easy, is just asking for trouble, my lord. During the production phase, you can rebuild the haven and enhance your heroes. The commander's journal serves as a reminder of everything you can do. Multiple resources are available in your haven. Gold is used for building structures and buying equipment, while materials are used for defenses. Workers can be used to trigger the active abilities of some buildings and will replenish every day. Now, this is the tutorial, which is why we can really only be attacked from 2 directions. It keeps things nice and simple. Way back in the day, the tutorial kind of assumed you were going to lose by the 2nd or 3rd wave. However, if you were a cunning so-and-so, and you might have gotten all the way to like a wave 7 out of the 10. Yeah, the tutorial just wasn't prepared for that. So you didn't really get any of the resources you would normally get. I am pleased to say that this tutorial is now scripted. You will lose. You will lose pretty soon. It'll just be enough to show you a night or 2 and the build phase, and then it's lost. So don't feel bad about this. This is actually better than the alternative, if you can believe it. But the part that I'm sure everyone is excited about, the leveling up. So, we can now have a proper look at our heroes. Vanya is a pickpocket, so it gets plus 10 isolation and minus 30 armor. They will never be an armor tank, which is interesting. Okay. They've also got tall, so they have 1 more move point, but they're a little bit less dodgy. And brute. Plus 6% physical damage, but minus 7 mana. Not regen, just mana. Now, when you level up, you can choose from a list of attributes. They're just randomly rolled for you. You can re-roll them, though. You have 2 re-rolls per character per level up. If you re-roll, it'll re-roll everything, but you will have 2 less items to pick from. So instead of having 5 potential options, I will have 2. It just so happens that action point is probably the most critical thing in this game. It's kind of like if you're familiar with ye olde XCOM or Xenonauts, time units. You always want more. There'll never be a time where that is less useful than anything else. Okay, I've said never. I probably shouldn't. But it would have to be an incredible edge case for action points not to be the thing you pick. We are definitely going to take that. Thank you very much. Indeed. You get 2 things. So the primary attribute, then secondary attribute. So we are now much, much more dangerous. Now, we've got opportunism, reliability, poison damage, daily mana regen. We could increase that. That's always quite a nice one. And healing received. Multiplier added to any kind of health restored to this hero. The final value is rounded down. So the minimum this could be is 33, and the maximum is 400%. I don't know if this affects the regen healing. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But you know what? We're going to just re-roll this one. Experience gain. Uncommon. Goes up to 117. Yes. Though, increasing the daily health regen just gives us more of a resource to play with, but we're going to go with experience gain. This early on, experience gain pays back pretty hard. It snowballs. Now, that's not the only thing that you can play around with. You can also go to perks. Build your own combination of passive abilities to further specialize the playstyle of your heroes. Heroes have varying perk trees, so check them out carefully. Heroes will gain 1 perk point per level up to level 11. If you want to plan ahead, you can pin the desired perks as a reminder. Alright, so one of the ones that I would look for is Fatality. Fatality allows you to instantly execute for no action points any enemy who's got health below a certain threshold. And the longer into the game, the higher level your hero, the higher that threshold is, so the easier it is to execute people. The fact that you can kill something for no action points is amazing. And you want that on someone who's going to be on the front lines. But let's have a look at what else they've got. Mana growth, perseverance. So you're always going to have a range skill, a magic skill, and a melee skill, but then the others are kind of utility. So coagulation gives 12 armor. That wouldn't be useful for us because we automatically lose 30. So this would only half negate the debuff. Leapfrog, we didn't actually jump over anything, but this would reduce the movement cost. Quick reload unlocks a quick reload skill, allowing to restore 1 use to all skills of the current weapon. Uses per night, 3. Interesting. That's actually very, very interesting. So you could... This might actually be useful for this character. That can be used 5 times. This can be used twice. No. If you had weapons that didn't have many uses per turn, that would be particularly useful for you. But you also have different options later down. Now, for reasons that I've kind of touched on already, I'm not going to pour over these as much as I would in a proper run, because I know it's going to end soon. So we're going to just grab Fatality, and I'm not going to spend too much time looking to see how this character could potentially build in the future. But one thing you can do is you can right-click if you want to. As it mentioned, you can kind of pin things, so once you've made a plan, you don't forget it. There we go. That's all done for Vanya. Now, up next is Evil Friend. Increase the primary and secondary attributes of your heroes to reinforce strengths or alleviate weaknesses. Indeed. So Pickpocket, Tall, and Brute, and we've got Pickpocket, Daring, 8% Momentum. Momentum is a specific weapon skill. Basically, if you're moving, the more you move before you attack with a momentum style skill, the more damage multiplier you get. But that loses block, and you gain some accuracy. That's always quite nice. But again, massive minus to armor. No good. Well, actually, not too bad on a ranger, I suppose. So let's have a quick look. We've got Critical, that's a rare skill. AoE attacks consider each target separately, that's good. Chances of an attack dealing a critical hit. What is our crit chance at the moment? Is there information? That is the critical chance there. So we'll go from 5 to 14. That's not too bad. Sure, we'll grab that. Do not mind at all. Next up, Daily Health Regen. Not going to need it. We could go with Momentum, not going to be useful. Magic damage, you're also not... Well, we may as well re-roll that in that case. Daily Mana Regen, Isolation. Multiplier applied to the damage dealt to isolated targets. Basically, a target is isolated if there's no ally beside it. I believe it only counts orthogonal, but it might also count diagonal. But this is actually not too bad. An extra 10% damage done to someone who's on their own? Sure, we'll grab it. Again, not putting too much thought into this one for now. Perseverance. Every 2 attacks from the hero that are dodged by at least 1 unit restores 1 action point. Okay, well, that's not terrible. Cheer. Unlocks the Cheer skill, allowing you to buff the damage of an ally. Coagulation, Leapfrog, or Fatality. We're not going to be using this one. I think Cheer, honestly, out of all of these, we'll grab that one. It seems the most universally useful for us. And finally, Lost Dryer Socks. You are a wildling. Plus 15% resistance, plus 40 health, and minus 2 daily mana regen. Not the best thing to have on our mage, I will be honest. But the 15 resistance is actually quite nice. This decreases or increases, if negative, incoming damage by a percentage. You're also a nihilist. Minus 1 action point. And you're dexterous. Okay, let's see if we can't fix this a bit. I could just increase the amount of mana you have, give you more movement points. You don't have a penalty to your armor, and as we saw previously, having a nice chunky bit of armor is quite useful, but do you want to have an armored up battle mage? Maybe. Might not be the worst thing in the universe, actually. Or I could just give you a much bigger mana pool. Right now, our gear is giving us an extra 5. So yeah, sure. We'll go with this, and we're gonna go out with a bang in the tutorial, I think. The next, we've got Isolation, Daily Health Regen, Reliability. Increases the minimum damage of attacks at 100%. The attacks will always deal its maximum damage. That's actually very, very nice. I'm going to reroll this, though. Critical power, no, nothing. Okay, we're going to reroll again. Fingers crossed. Oh, sucks. Oh, well, I guess Opportunism isn't terrible. There we go. And as for your perks, we've got Mana Growth, plus 6 mana, increases by 3 for each level. It's not a bad one to take, honestly. Quick Reload. We've got Potion Throw. I think Quick Reload is probably the best one for us. Excuse me while I cough there. There we are. Right, all of that's done. Nightly Reward, because we did get an item. Let's have a look at what we've got. We've got a rare, an offhand hammer. Now that is very interesting. Worn cloth armor. And you can see the character that you're looking at, what this would imply. So this is better than our basic hammer. It doesn't change the base stats or indeed the skills of the weapon much, but rather each level of rarity seems to add an additional effect. So the base damage is exactly the same as the regular rusty hammer, but because it's got +3 damage as just a random effect, all of the skills will do a little bit more. But the offhand hammer, this would replace the rusty shield. This would give 20% healing received and +8 daily health regen. Not the most useful, but it does give us an offhand attack, and I will absolutely take that. So, just to give you a look at how that all works, we go into the city stash. You have 2 different weapon sets and can swap freely between them at any time, even during combat. Remember that, because most games give you some sort of cost to swapping weapons. This game does not. Any attribute modifier granted by the equipment is always applied, even if the weapon set is not currently active. That is so amazingly useful. Consumables, potions or scrolls, do not disappear when they are used. Instead, they have a limited number of uses per night and fully refill at the start of the production phase, so each day, much like your regular regen. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab that. Now, I believe I pop that in the second. There we go. So even though I'm not equipping the rusty shield, that's fine. I do believe does the rusty shield actually come with any kind of skill? No, it does not, I don't believe. No. If we look down there, if I put the hammer in there, we should end up with an offhand ability. There we go. Now, the offhand ability doesn't cost me an action. I just can only do it once a night, which is an interesting way of doing it. Right, let's get on down here. The enemy are going to probably be flooding in from about there, so let's start behind the barricade, shall we? Or at the very least have our ranged units behind the barricade. There we go. That should do. Right, we can build new structures, we can buy some new gear, we can build some defenses, we can assign workers to buildings, or buildings, and there are buildings with free actions. We've got a temple right now, and that temple, we can upgrade it with the gold that we've got so that it does better things. For example, the temple can permanently increase a hero's max health if you assign 2 workers to it and then select one of the heroes. Alternatively, you can restore 40 health to all heroes. We don't need any of the work from the temple right now. So we will have a look at new structures. Right now, we can only afford the mana well. Sure, for the sake of showing how it works. It's basically, for mana, what the temple is for health. And it has very similar upgrade as well. Now, in the shop, you have items have 2 elements that define their power. Level defines the value of the attribute, and damage, it is represented by the Roman numeral at the bottom of the icon, so you can have a sword +1 sort of thing. Rarity adds random bonus attributes to the base item. It is represented by the color. So it goes common is brown, uncommon is green, rare is blue, and finally epic is red. And we don't have any of that. Poison dagger scroll, interesting. We've also got vicious boots. Boots are a trinket. Bear that in mind. Do we have any offhand items? We don't. That is a shame. We have got some items here, though. Coifs. Woven heavy armor. Worn heavy armor. I wouldn't mind getting a helmet for our main tank. Sure, let's go ahead and grab that for 18 gold. We can still afford a little bit. Isolation +10 armor. Yeah, sure, we'll grab that one as well for our main tank, and a poison dagger scroll just because I can. Is there anything else we want? Not really. There's nothing else particularly useful. That being said, I could get the worn heavy armor. Sure, all right. Well, we'll totally deck them out. Why not? It is their last night after all. So your armor is -30, so we don't actually want to give that to you. We want to give it to our mage. So let's go ahead and top that. Being said, +2 block, +15. You know what? We could possibly overcome the penalty there. Maybe that's worth trying. So we'll pop that in there. Armor is now at 15 exactly. Resistance has gone up, and dodge has gone up. And then we give heavy armor. This will give another 15 armor, +2 block. It will lose 1 of the movement points. In fact, it'll lose 2 because we're replacing something that had +1. But it does give us the armor self ability. Yeah, let's go ahead and pop that in. There we go. At this point, we have negated the armor debuff. So any extra armor we apply, for example, through the self-armor ability. Oh, actually, no, that increases block. I thought that would increase armor, my bad. But we can pop this in. There we go. We got 10 armor on our tank. And you will notice that it does actually update the graphics, which I love. Now then, what range is this? Range 1 to 4. I kind of feel that you are the best person to have a Poison Dagger Scroll. You don't really do any poison damage, but this should be okay. It's got multi-hits as well. It can be used twice per night. That's fine. Does anyone else, would they better use this in any way? You've got 7 movement points there. You've got 7 movement points there. I don't really think it's really going to make any difference for you. I guess we could give it to you, though. Sure, you can go ahead and have that. You can have a little bit more movement points. But that is all there. You can sell the items, but there's just not really any point to doing that. All right, well, I've got 2 people to apply to something. I can have 2 workers try to dig up this item here, get some materials or some gold. Let's go for the gold. There we are, and that will actually give us a little bit more that we can play with over here. I can get a koi for someone else as well. There we are. Lovely. And let's go and find out who's going to be the new proud owner of this piece of kit. It shall, in fact, be you. There you go. Your accuracy will be increased. Maybe I should give that to the archer. No. Well, no, I think we're fine. All right, then. We're getting a little bit late in the episode for this, but I'm not going to be a scallywag and leave you on a cliffhanger in the tutorial of all places. No, we're going to fight what I believe is the last day. You notice the skulls on the flag give you an idea of how tough this is going to be. It is now time for us to end the phase. Actually, I could plonk down a couple of defenses, I suppose. Sure. Okay, let's pop in some defenses. There we go. You can also upgrade any defenses that are a bit rickety. There we are. And this one as well, just gives it a little bit more health, so on and so forth. We've got enough to drop down all of that. We've now made quite a defensible wall, I feel. All right, end phase. Now, this one's going to be a little bit more fast and loose. I don't think we need to move our peeps around. I think they're in a good position, all right? The seal is hard to reach from this circle. I can't channel it. It's too powerful. They're coming. Indeed, they are. Okay. So each one of the characters, and something I should have actually pointed out before, each of the characters have a bit of a blurb. So, named after the incessant screeching of their claws against the stone and metal, they are attracted to any source of magic like flies to corpses. The magic circle shines like a beacon to them. Luckily, they are quite stupid. That's the basic claw. Is there anyone here who is armored? No. I do apologize for not reading the blurb for that, but hopefully you can just pause the pause the video and read it for yourselves. But the kindled. The mist has a strange effect on these claws. They are slowly being consumed by a bright flame and become ethereal in the process, making them more resistant to physical attacks and projectiles. Ah, okay, fair enough. Is there anything about that in here? Doesn't actually tell me too much about it. Okay, fair enough. Right, well, let's open up with a nice heavy volley. You'll notice that depending on which way the archer is looking will dictate the orientation. You can't turn this around yourself. So that's definitely one thing to bear in mind. There are a nice big bit of damage there. This will slow them down. Well, slow them right down, actually. But I do want to try and get in close. Do a bit of damage. Let's take you out. And take you out if I can. Start popping some heads. There we go. Mage, I would like to be able to draw my archer back. I'm going to need to be a reasonable bit further back, but for now, let's just pop you. And then we're going to draw all the way back to the barricades. There we go. That's good enough. Now, my melee specialist, we can use the bash offhand for free, effectively, just once every turn. Throwing daggers, though, we can only use this 2 times per night. It will hit 4 targets and will poison them, and that can quite happily kill. So, bear that in mind. Now, let's drop the hammer there. We're going to scooch up, drop the hammer again. Now we're going to go for offhand. Back to your grave, indeed. You tell him. And once more. Now, sadly, can I actually hit you? Let's find out. Yes, I can. Well, that's quite marvellous. I must say I approve. However, now I need to scooch rather rapidly back. Should be good enough. Now, I don't believe there's anything that really happens based on your facing, but I could be wrong. Let's drop some points over here. There we are. That should do. And let's end the turn. That's fine. I don't mind. Ugh. Bad mana node. I can't do this alone. Hold it together. All of this is your fault anyway. Well, my lord, they've brought a lot of Bernie friends. Oof. Okay, well, let's drop a chunky hit. There we go. Nice bit of damage there. I should be able to get a couple of hits in with the point blank as well. As for you, scooch up. Let's get right in there if we can. I'm going to use my offhand on you. I'm going to use my stun skill down here. I could do it again, simply because I don't need to watch out for my mana anymore. Let's go ahead and do that. Now, again, this is in no way tactical at this point. I am just throwing caution to the wind, doing whatever I particularly care to do, because I know that it doesn't matter. I strongly recommend you play with a bit more common sense and, you know, try not to just burn out all of your abilities for no other reason than it looks cool. Could I get over here? I could, but I wouldn't really be able to do much when I drew back, so I will... You've got 4 points. Okay. Alright. Execute both of them. And that is the beauty of the execute ability. Dear Lord, it's so amazing. I could quick reload self. I don't need to in this instance. Oh, I could have used cheer as well. Again, didn't really need to. That's fine. The magic circle. It's decay. It won't hold. Oh, myself. Now, I'm going to take a bit of a blow here. I lost 19 health. I lost all my armor and a little bit of my health there. But it's not too bad. I only lost 9, so I can still quite easily afford to sort that out. Now, we do need to kill these 72. Just because it's a tutorial doesn't mean it's going to be kind to us. No, no, no. There we are. Let's give you a bit of a boost. I also want you to start raining down. Now, I've got a couple of other abilities here, and you've not seen this one. Rain of Arrows. It has a bit of an interesting deployment pattern. This one doesn't need you to be able to see your enemies. Not as useful here, but still quite a cool skill that I will just showcase. There you go. A very potent skill. It does hit for quite a lot. Now, you can do friendly fire. Bear that in mind. Nothing sucks more than accidentally unaliving your own teammates. Right, let's drop. I can't hit you. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4. There we are. They're poisoned. They will lose a lot of health over time. There we go. Let's scooch up. Can I drop enough health to really be able to get involved here? Can I even see the ones at the back? I sort of can. Let's do that. No, can't hit you because you're out of range. That's fine. There we are. Now, the poison will take that health away next turn. Won't do it right now. Sad to say. But that's fine. Let's go for you and you. And you can finish them off as well. Now, this time we do want to draw all the way back and not just charge straight forward. I'll use my armor skill just because I can. You don't need to. This is the jump over skill. This uses movement. It does not use action points, which is an important one to note. There we go, for example. Now, later on, you can actually upgrade this in various ways. You can make it cost less, but I think you can also make it so you can do that over enemies, which is probably more useful overall, if I'm honest. My body! Oh no! The seal! It fights back! Well... Another mage! Quick! Find another mate! How? You killed them all! There is still hope left. Surely the other havens will be able to break all the seals. No! I imagine they say as they gargle their own internal organs. And there we are. See, this is what happens when you just go out of your way to kill all the people who can undo the thing that you want undone. Yes, one of them may have caused it, but not all of them are to blame. You silly sausages. Right, now. The Emperor or Slaanesh is basically the way I think about this. Sexy fun times. Don't worry, we'll be going to both. Welcome to the Orichalcum, Commander. What the? Lower your voice, fool, or you will get us caught, and all will be for naught. The Orichalcum is what I said. Are you deaf beyond dead? A rather formidable place, if I can say so myself, blooming from the fathoms of your scattered mind. I am the shadows. I am the dark. I am the pain deep inside your heart. Really? Very poetic. Don't tell the other one, for I will help you. Let it be our little devious secret between me and you. Would you be so kind as to partake of those useless souls you collected from the slain? In exchange, I will share powers and arcana to help you in your formidable quest. So, this is part of the meta progression. We can spend the essence that we gain from killing enemies and working our way through a normal run. Obviously, that was a tutorial. It ended after just two days, but normally you would have more opportunity to gather resources. We have exactly enough to unlock this, which means that heroes will permanently have more health in future runs. So a bit of meta progression. Now that has unlocked mana, new items which can appear in runs. If you're familiar with games like Slay the Spire or Isaac, the idea here is that by unlocking these, they can appear in your runs. You're not buying them per chance, but you're buying their potential in future runs. And they have their various benefits. But to give you an idea of how much there is to unlock, look how long it takes me to scroll through all of these things, all the way down to there. There is an awful lot to unlock. There is a fantastic wellspring of content. But that's all we can do over here with our betailed friend. Now we go to the golden side, the holier than thou side. They've even got a halo. I mean, come on. Rejoice, O earth and sea, for I have come with gifts in hand. Oh my. Fear not, mortal, I wish thee no harm. Yes, for I am hope, a whisper in the dawn, a promise of light. I think I know you? I was two, but now I am one, a gleam, a mere refraction of what I could become. Where are we? Nowhere and everywhere. We dwell deep down and high above. Come to me whenever thou achievest mighty deeds, and I shall reward thee and thy people. And let us all rejoice, for thou wilt live again until thy work here is done. Now go, my prodigal herald of hope, and come again. Receive my blessings for thy wondrous accomplishments. So, Glindenberg, unlock. It has come to your attention that another haven is also trying their best to break their seal. Looks like Glindenberg could do with your help. Requirements. Complete the tutorial. Swampfurt didn't make it, though. The several runs, I'm not sure what that means. I think it means that it can be unlocked over several runs. So, for example, if it was something like, kill 200 claws, and you only killed 150 in a certain run, it would credit you with that 150, and then the next run you'd probably kill 50, and then it would unlock. I think that's what that means. I could be wrong. But unlike the other one, you're not spending resources. It's just you have to have achieved a certain feat within, again, wondrous deeds. So, a house, unlock, a new structure can now be built in your havens. Requirements: survive night 2 in Glindenberg. Again, we haven't done this yet, but if for some reason you failed on night 1, you could try again. Until you got, I guess in this one, it's specifically you have to get past night 2, but, you know, however many runs it takes to do it, I guess. But there we are. That's all we have for now. And with that, we return to the campaign overworld map. Oh my lord, what terrible things did they do to this land? Not only is it covered in a weird purple fog, but the purple fog has tentacles crawling out from underneath it. I'm more worried about the tentacles than I am about the miasma, personally. But that was a tutorial land, it is now no longer. And instead, we can go on to Glindenberg, but that is, I'm afraid, going to have to be in another episode. This tutorial has already run over time by a fair bit. I hope you don't mind, though. Again, if you are interested in checking out different runs, I am uploading the VODs from my first stream of this game over on Aavak After Hours. Again, the links to Aavak After Hours and indeed to my Twitch channel are down in the video description below. But do let me know what you thought about the last spell, and if you would like a chance for your name to end up on one of the heroes who's probably going to have their insides turned into outside by claws in some very near future episode, then leave a comment with your name below. But until next time, and as always, don't try to stop war by building a big gun. It never works. Also, take care.